When I started preaching the gospel, they told me, for you to make a global impact, at least you must be a 5th descendant preacher. When I checked, even my own father, I led him to Christ. That means, as far as ministry is concerned, I have no hope. But when I went back to the scripture, I discovered my DNA and my lineage began from the cross. I discovered I did not just have a natural family, I also have a spiritual family. Because Paul said something. He said, according as it is written, they believe and have spoken. We, having the same spirit of faith, we believe and therefore we speak. That means I belong to the faith lineage. And so I was no longer judging myself based on my biological lineage. When I looked at myself, I knew that I belonged to the descendant of Paul. I knew that I belonged to the descendants of Enoch. And so there was a rich spiritual heritage waiting for me. And so when I walked out, I didn't walk out with a local or mediocre mentality. I told my friends over 10 years ago, I said we will shake this world. I told them nations will come looking for us. And today is not a prayer point. We travel around the world as if we are going to our backyard. It's not about the nations. It's about the impact of the kingdom spreading across the world. Not because there's anything special about you, but because you build the consciousness. As you were building that consciousness, you were incubating. There are many people that carry so much of God, but they don't know how to conduct it. They are conscious of the world, but they want to conduct heaven. It doesn't work like that. The Lord works with your mind. In Ephesians chapter 4, verse 20, it says God is able to do. That means God is also not able to do. But for God to be able to do, He will do only exceedingly abundantly above all you ask or think. That means the power of God is limited to your consciousness. If you are thinking fear, no matter how you shout, you will not see the glory of God. Because your consciousness is the first conductor of the dimension of God that you host. This is why the devil doesn't need to send preachers. He sends systems that create consciousness. Buy a biro. The advert you see is a naked woman. They don't need to come and teach you immorality 101. No. If they build the consciousness on your own, you will walk in immorality. Because they know that the power of your spirit is activated in the direction of your consciousness. That's how God works. The Bible said in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And He said the earth was void. Darkness was upon the face of the deep. And He said the Spirit of God hovered. The world was dark, but God refused to see the darkness. All God was seeing was light. And when He finished birthing light, He now said, light appear. Light appeared. If it was God that wrote Genesis 1, you would not have seen darkness. The reason you know there was darkness in Genesis 1 is because Moses was the one writing. The only thing God said was light. He never mentioned darkness. Because even though the darkness is there, his consciousness was light. And as he focused on light, after a while, the light came. And Paul told us, God that calleth forth the light out of the darkness. What you see is what you become. Your consciousness is your reality. Somebody will need to wake up and tell myself, I come from Taraba State. I don't have the best of education. I don't have anybody to help me. But because my Redeemer liveth, I will see tomorrow. Because He lives, I will see tomorrow. This sickness is not my end. If He healed one before, He will heal me also. Because God is not a respecter of person. You don't know how we become. You want to walk in the supernatural, you must build a new consciousness. Paul said our light affliction are but for a moment. Do you know what Paul called light affliction? He was flogged with 39 strokes. He was thrown into prison. He was forgotten under the deep. He said a day and a half I was in the deep. There was situations on earth that will happen to you, and you will now lie down and say, God, where are you? Why are these things happening to me? Lord, why? And you will be seeking people to say, sorry. Paul doesn't demand pity from anybody. He doesn't demand sorry from anybody. While he was going through those afflictions, he called it a light affliction. And for no matter how long they were, he called it a moment. He said, our light affliction are but for a moment. Did you read about David? The men David labored upon that became mighty men, they rejected him, stoned him, at a time when the resources of Israel and the women were taken. When David needed his men to stand around him, they despised him. David didn't stand up going about saying, don't mind all those men, they are not honorable men. The Bible said David encouraged himself in the Lord. He encouraged. There was a consciousness the man had, because he knows that he doesn't need an army to win a battle. He has stood up before as one man, confronted Goliath, brought him down, and the whole prince of Gath ran back. He knows that with a stone you can win a battle. And so if the men like, they should despise him, they should leave him, they should betray him. He encouraged himself in the Lord. And the Bible said he went to the Urim and the Thummim, and when the Lord spoke to him, he stood up, and when he moved, everybody that once rejected him aligned themselves with him. Consciousness is the foundational key for the supernatural.